Okay, so armor trims have to be the coolest feature from Minecraft 1.20. I mean, who doesn't want to be absolutely dripped out in their favorite metal? Iron. Just kidding. But seriously, I documented the process of collecting all 16 unique armor trim smithing templates in survival Minecraft just for fun. So I'll be showing you all how you can collect every armor trim in survival. I'll also be giving some tips and tricks on how you can more easily track down some of these rarer trims, and some tips for those of you just looking for quick and easy trims. So whether you're looking to complete the full set or just curious about the rarity of these items, sit back, relax, and enjoy this special episode of the Science Survival with your host, Pinny. So before I get into finding the trims, I want to make sure you are all aware of how to craft smithing templates. Once you use a template in the smithing table, it will be consumed. But you can craft any template provided that you have a copy of it. So you really only have to find each template once. Then what I'd recommend doing is making a master set of every template for crafting purposes, if you're into that kind of thing. But note that crafting a new template will require 7 diamonds, but it's a small price to pay with the rarity of some of these trims. Okay, last thing. I use the online tool Chunkbase to find most of these structures, so if you have access to your world seed, I would highly recommend this to save you a ton of time. But if you prefer purist exploration, you'll definitely have some options with some of the more commonly generated structures, and I'll hit on that when we get to those. I would also recommend the usage of an elytra to save some time too, and I'm going to be going in the order of easiest to obtain, in my personal opinion. So thank you for watching. Feel free to use the chapters to skip around, but if you want to watch all of them, I'll love you more, platonically. Starting with the trim that I think is easiest to get, Dune. Desert temples generate in desert biomes only, but Dune is found in desert temples chests at a 14.3% rate. Keep in mind that these structures always generate with 4 chests. I think this one is really easy to get your hands on because desert biomes are particularly large, and temples are actually pretty common and easy to spot. And it's a good pick for exploration purists because you probably don't need to use a seed finder. Apart from the TNT trap, the risk is fairly minimal, and I think most players will have no trouble finding this one. So I'm saying that Dune is the easiest trim to find. Fight me. A close second has to be Eye. Strongholds generate in any biome, and Eyes of Enders will lead you right to the closest one. So the template has a 10% chance of generating in a Stronghold altar chest, but in Stronghold library chests, you're guaranteed to get one at a 100% rate. And keep in mind that Strongholds can have more than one library, and the libraries can have more than one chest. So this is really an easy one for purist players, and since this structure is essentially required for your progression through the game, you'll have to go to one of these anyways. Wild is a smithing template that can be found in jungle temples. These generate in jungles and bamboo jungles, but they can be a bit difficult to find without a seed map. The wild trim itself has a 33.3% chance of generating per jungle temple chest, and these jungle temples will always generate with 2 chests, so you have a pretty decent chance of finding one. Much like the desert temple, there's really minimal risk to coming to these structures. Coast can be found in shipwrecks, which will generate in the beach, snowy beach, and all variants of the ocean biomes. The template itself will generate in any shipwreck chest at a 16.7% rate, and these wrecks can also have anywhere between 1 and 3 chests in. Wrecks are pretty easy to spot, but you may want to prepare by bringing doors, respiration, and acro affinity helmets, or water-breathing potions, but you likely won't have too much trouble finding this one. The Vex template is found in woodland mansions, which will generate in dark forest, typically far away from the world's spawn point. Mansions are pretty dangerous, so you'll want to prepare some nice gear or just prepare to die a lot and set your spawn. The template generates at a 50% rate in any woodland mansion chest with a loot table. So given the number of chests in this place, you really shouldn't have a problem finding a template, provided that you can actually find a mansion. For purist players, this is a good one, because the Cartographer Villager can trade you a Woodland Explorer map, so you don't need an external seed map. So Sentry is found in Pillager Outposts, which can generate in a lot of biomes, but most notably deserts, plains, meadows, certain peaks biomes, and the new Cherry Grove biomes. This template will generate an outpost chest at a 25% rate, This isn't too bad, but since this structure only has one chest and the outpost can be a bit sparse, it can be pretty annoying to track this one down, so I do recommend using the seed map. The rib trim is a personal favorite and is found in Nether Fortress, which can generate in any Nether biome. The trim can be found at a 6.7% rate in Fortress chests. This seems low, but some forts can spawn with a lot of chests, upwards of 10, so it's not too bad. That being said, it is possible to find a fort with no chests at all, so be aware of that. Be sure to bring some fire res pots if you got them, and beware of those pesky wither boys. Spire templates can be found in cities that generate anywhere in the outer end islands. Just like rib, this trim generates at a 6.7% rate per in-city chest. Given the number of chests cities typically have, you may not have trouble finding this one, but be aware that some in-cities may generate with no chests at all, which can be pretty annoying for tracking down this item. Keep in mind that in-cities are fairly in-game structures, so make sure you're prepared for the challenge. I usually like to fly in one direction until I find one or use the seed map. There are 4 trims you can find in Trail Ruins: Host, Razor, Shaper, and Wayfinder, and they're all obtained from suspicious gravel using the new archaeology feature in Trail Ruins. They can generate in taiga, snowy taiga, old growth birch forest, and jungle biomes, and can be quite difficult to locate, so I highly suggest using the seed map. Each trim has an 8.3 drop rate from rare suspicious gravel, so don't be surprised if you have to clear out multiple runes before finding all 4 trims. I like to use the brush to see if it's a rare drop, and then just destroy the gravel if I can tell that it's a junk item. The Snout armor trim will be found in Bastion remnants in the Nether. They generate in all Nether biomes with an exception to the basalt deltas. You can find this template at an 8.3% rate in all Bastion chests. You're probably going to want to bring some fire res pots if you got them, and you're going to want to be prepared to take a hit or two, take advantage of the piglin's pathfinding, and recognize that only the melee piglins do significant damage, so just pillar up if you need to. I'll also take a moment to discuss the Netherite Upgrade smithing template, which is now required to coat your tools and armor in Netherite. Just like a smithing template, it's consumed in the process, but you can craft more just like any other template if you have one lying around. You can find this template in all Bastion chests at a 10% rate or 100% in the large treasure rooms. I know some players are against this item, but I think it's cool that the progression towards getting Netherite is a bit more challenging now that you're required to enter one of the most dangerous areas in the game. Just my 2 cents. Ward is one of the 2 trims you can find in the ancient cities. These generate underground and deep dark biomes and are notoriously dangerous even for players with in-game weapons and armor, so bring some totems if you're playing on hardcore. The Ward template can be found in chests at a 5% rate, and ancient cities aren't terribly uncommon, but they're hard to find without the seed map, so I definitely recommend using that if possible. I have 2 ways I like to raid these places, so I'll show one off here for the Ward template. So I call this the Madman method. Set your spawn and get rid of all the gear that you care about, and you may want to bring some wool if you have a surplus. Then you can decide if you would like to sneak around or just run through like a madman. Pinpoint the location of valuable items for extraction, or if the path is safe, just put them on your person and take them back. I don't really think it needs to be said, but this is obviously a bad idea if you're playing on hardcore. Tide is a template that may give players some trouble, especially in the early game, but if you have in-game gear, it'll likely be a cakewalk. That being said, the template is kind of unique in that it's a 20% drop from the Elder Guardian mob in the Ocean Monument structure. The monuments generate in all the deep ocean variants and will spawn with 3 persistent Elder Guardians. The reason I think this one is one of the tougher trims is because the bar to entry is a little bit higher and it requires some amount of preparation and knowledge of the structure. I'll try and explain what I did here, but I'm going to recommend having a respiration helmet or some water breathing potions, and maybe some milk to get rid of the mining fatigue effect, which is caused by the Elder Guardians. So you'll probably want to craft some doors for air pockets as well. Guardians need line of sight to zap you with their laser, so you'll want to be constantly moving between solid blocks to break their line of sight. Go ahead and bring some building blocks. Make sure you're aware of where the 3 Elder Guardians are located. One is in the top chamber, and one is in each wing of the monument. You'll want some blocks too, some TNT, and a few redstone blocks. Place the TNT and make sure that it's completely surrounded on all but one side with the solid blocks. Then, ignite the TNT by placing the redstone block last. This creates an air pocket that allows the blast to occur, and then you can just swim right into the monument. You can do this above the top and side wings to gain easy access to the Elder Guardians. And if you want, bring an Impaling 5 Trident because it works really well. The template drop is not affected by the looting enchantment and can be dropped whether or not the Elder Guardian is slain by a player. Silence is the final armor trim, and in my opinion, it is the most difficult to obtain. Just like Ward, it is found in the ancient cities, but at a much more unforgiving 1.2% rate. So that's 1 in 80 ancient city chests. You could opt for the Madman strategy I described a few minutes ago, but I managed to find that this was too tedious and time consuming. What I instead did was a bit of a goofy dive bomb strategy, where I would post up a safe return spot atop the central portal feature. Then I'd fly right towards a chest, break it as quick as possible, and then fly back before the Warden has time to attack. Then I just steer clear of that area for a few minutes so the Warden would despawn. It was actually quite effective, so you can set your spawn and maybe keep some backup gear in the case that you crash and need to recover your stuff. Totems and enchanted apples are really helpful too, and if you do get hit with the darkness effect and lose your direction, try to retreat to nearby caves or maybe fly straight upwards since you won't take kinetic damage with the elytra if you hit the underside of a block. I probably got my trim about an hour of raiding 6 or 7 cities, so don't be surprised if this takes a really long time. Keep at it and you'll eventually get it. It'll be worth it. To answer the question, how hard is it to get every smithing template in Minecraft? It's not that hard. There were a few standouts that might give the player some trouble, but I think it's a pretty attainable goal, even for casual players. That's my tips for obtaining every armor trim in Minecraft. Hopefully this was helpful for some of you. I know some of my advice was kinda obvious. I love armor trims. I'll probably be playing around with these a lot next episode. We finally have something we can use our diamonds on, and I think that's pretty neat. Consider leaving me a comment because you guys are really nice and encouraging, and I just want to hear what you have to think about the armor trims. Do you have a favorite template or material? Have you found any cool combinations? Just let me know. Thank you for watching, and if you really want to help me out, YouTube loves it when you watch another one of my videos immediately after this one, so I'll make it easy for you and put a playlist on the end. See ya!